welcome back, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. I think this one will be somewhat short like last week's, but we're gonna cover today the topic of transfers. And then once again, I'm gonna hide my camera so y'all don't see my bald head while I'm looking down. Before we get started on transfers though, I did want to make y'all aware, we do have a couple of more trainings coming up. We're off next week for Thanksgiving, but then we have in-range adjustments December 2nd. We're going to cover everything else like retroactive pay, additional comp, and things like that. December 9th, and then December 16th, we'll have just a question and answer session for anybody who wants to hop on and ask questions. Before we dive into transfers, I did want to make you guys aware that yesterday our board approved two pretty significant changes to the variable compensation plan that should make yours and my life a little bit easier. The two changes are they approved 20 plus years of related experience as an automatic qualifier to enter zone 4 without having to go to the board for approval. And then they also approved field title changes from the worker level to the supervisory level. They don't require board approval so long as the new starting salary is below $70,000. All right, so just kind of recap, there are certain qualifications that allow you to go into zone 4 right now, and they're not bound by the rest of the rules of VCP. This is a new section of the VCP that says that if you have 20 or more years of experience related to your current classification, you can pay someone into zone 4 without having to go to the board for approval. Again, all the other caveats of the VCP would still be in effect. They'd still be bound by the 10% per year for in-range adjustments, for example. If you were going to pay somebody into zone 4, it would need to be equitable with their peers, whether they're a current employee or a new employee. If you wanted to hire an accountant with 25 years of experience at Horn, for example, you could hire them into zone 4 with related accounting experience, so long as it was equitable with your current employees. So that's a good thing we're excited about. That got discussed last month at our board retreat, that they wanted to see us do that. So we've done that. Secondly, all the provisions of title changes will remain the same, with the one exception, like I mentioned, that salaries or title changes where the new starting salary is less than 70,000 from the worker to supervisory level will not require our board's approval. So you can start doing title changes without me having to send them back, as long as the new starting salary is less than $70,000. So, all right. So let's talk about transfers. And as y'all know, there are 3 types of transfers. There's promotions, demotions, and lateral transfers. With this new plan, we only have roughly 40 pay grades. So there's going to be a lot more laterals than there used to be. And so what we're going to talk about specifically salary determination for promotions and demotions and things like that. So promotion is different from a title change in that we're not changing somebody from a 1 to a 2 or a 2 to a 3. We're employee applied for and is changing positions rather than just having the title changed. Things you should consider are how many pay grades are between the old and new title, the current salary in relation to the peers of the same pay grade, so equity, and any performance reviews that employee has. The total maximum increase for promotion is 15%. Exceptions to the 15% max are if you're changing from the general pay plan to a different pay plan, or if you're going from a medical pay plan and you're getting an advanced certification. So that's the same as the title changes as far as exceptions to the 15% max. If you are a direct care worker who go and get your LPN license, you can get more than 15% to move into the medical pay plan. If you're an LPN who gets your RN license, you can move in the medical pay plan more than 15% because you have an advanced certification. And then the exception, this was the first policy revision we did back in January. But if that 15% maximum creates a documented salary inequity, we will look at those on a case-by-case basis at your request. Demotions. This is one of the more significant changes from the old plan to the new plan is there's no longer a promotional/demotional formula. There's no set salary you have to pay somebody who's taking a demotion. If it's a voluntary demotion within 12 months, we kept the same kind of rule that you go back to your salary before the promotion, assuming there haven't been increases to everybody else, and it would be inequitable to pay them less. So after 12 months and it's a voluntary demotion, you reduce the pay to appropriate level within the new range based on qualifications of the employee versus their peers. And then involuntary demotions, for performance reasons or disciplinary reasons, we've actually seen more of those in the past couple of years with the changing of how we do performance reviews. But if you're going to demote somebody, we just say reduce their pay to appropriate level to the new range. So you should take into account how many pay grades are between the two. Where's that going to put them with their peers? How significant or egregious was the offense that caused them to be disciplinary demoted? Things like that. So we're really leaving that up to y'all, so long as you're doing it equitably and it makes sense to us. So for determining salary for salary considerations, for jobs that were competitively recruited through NeoGov, if the selected candidate is a current state employee, they are eligible for the advertised salary so long as it's equitable. So they're not bound by the 15%. They're not bound by the 10% in-range adjustment. If you posted a job, they applied for it and were the best candidate, we're not going to punish them because they're an internal employee. They can make the salary that was posted and advertised. In the comments, if you will please put in there the requisition number from the posting. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know that this job was posted and you're promoting them unless you tell us this is from NeoGov requisition, whatever, it was competitively posted at this hour. Help us out with that. Just tell us on the front end. If the requested salary is greater than your current employees, go ahead and give us a comment as to the equitability of the salary. But if, like I said, if it's posted, you can pay. Just please help us out and tell us on the front end it was posted and how it's equitable. For jobs that were not competitively recruited through NeoGov, employees are bound by the 15% cap for transfers. In the comments, please provide information on how you determine the requested salary. If it's more than the current employees, go ahead and address the equity in those comments. If the 15% does not bring the employee to the new minimum, we'll use the in-range adjustment money if we need to. And for the action in EC, unlike title changes, the transfer and the salary adjustment can all be done within the same transaction. You don't have to transfer them in one transaction and then change their compensation in a different transaction like you do with title changes. You can simply put both actions on the same transaction. You would just click both boxes to change the job information and the compensation information. If the 15% maximum does not bring the employee to the new minimum, go ahead and put the minimum salary in the original transaction. It does not have to be completed in two separate actions like it used to when we first went live with the system. You can now put in the minimum salary for the new job class if it's more than 15% in one transaction. Last two notes, and not sure why this has become an issue, but it seems like here recently, if you're promoting someone, we need an application. We have to make sure they qualify. I know that this seems like common sense, but it's come up a couple of times in the past couple of weeks. So if you're promoting somebody, we need an application. Lastly, there in EC, there's options to pick on the transaction for promotion, demotion, or transfer. If it's a promotion, please pick promotion. If it's a demotion, please pick demotion. And if it's a lateral transfer, pick transfer. Okay, so pick the appropriate code. I know it will take it as a transfer if it's a promotion or demotion, but if it's a promotion or demotion, pick the right code. It helps for our tracking purposes and reporting purposes and things like that. So, like I said, it was going to be fairly short. That was 10 minutes. So it's now time for questions. So we will stop presenting and open it back up for questions.
Ryan.
Yes.
I'd like to confirm that they're still required to submit a letter with a demotion from the employee.
Yes, so if it's a demotion and it's a voluntary demotion, a letter from the employee is required. If it's disciplinary or performance, a statement from the agency that his disciplinary performance is sufficient. But we do need something if it's a demotion acknowledging from the employee or stating from you guys if it's disciplinary performance and they refuse to sign that is based on disciplinary performance.
Brian,
Yes, sir.
I just want to confirm that I heard what you said about doing transfers and promotions now, that you can click job change and compensation at the same time and also give the full amount of compensation you want to give for the transaction all in one fell swoop, as long as your comments state what y'all want to hear. I mean, what y'all need to see regarding why we're paying what we're paying for that promotion.
Correct. That is correct. Please
So you can do it all in one fell swoop. You don't have to change jobs first, then go back and do the money and back and forth.
Right, that is correct, but this is for promotions. For title changes, you're still gonna have to change their title and then go back and do a second transaction. But for transfers, if they're changing position 1 to position 2, you can do it all in one action. Please do it in one action. It saves yourself the trouble of having to key it in twice and us having to review it twice. So,
right. Okay.
And that's I don't know, I won't say it's fairly new, but it was not like that at Go Live, and it is now. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to do 2 transactions.
Which is the one reason why you'd have to do it in two transactions you just mentioned?
If it's a title change, if you're
just a title change in range, kind of in a series.
Right. So if you're taking an admin assistant 1 to a 2 and they're not changing positions, it's just they're staying their same pin, you can't adjust their title and compensation in the same transaction.
Right.
The system won't let it. But if they're actually changing position numbers, you can certainly do both in the same action.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ryan,
Yes.
this is Bonnie. What if you are hiring through NeoGov? Can you hire and put the salary on at the same time? I know this may not be in the same place.
So NeoGov, whether it's a new hire or a transfer, does not allow you to put a salary on that action. At least I haven't found anybody who's been able to figure that out. Has anybody been able to figure out how to put a salary on the hire from NeoGov? Yeah, I'm not sure why you can't, but you can't. I don't. So that's going to have you think that. Thanks for bringing that up. That is a good point. If it's coming from NeoGov, straight from NeoGov, you're going to have to do a second transaction.
Ryan, when we promote somebody that's on a requisition, do we have to actually use NeoGov, or we can just put the requisition number in the comments and do it through EC?
You know, we would prefer it come from NeoGov just because, but again, we'd prefer the system to work right too. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if NeoGov's giving you fits and it's not coming through, don't beat your head against the wall trying to get it through. We'll accept it straight into EC. But
thank you, Ryan.
But I mean, I would prefer it come through NeoGov because that's how my staff up here knows that somebody down in career counseling has looked at the minimum qualifications and things like that. It's just easier that way for them to know that it's been reviewed for qualifications before it gets to them up here in Employee Central. But I do understand that there are a lot of crosswalk issues between the 3 systems right now. And so don't beat your head against the wall. Try to go through NeoGov first, but don't kill yourself. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And the odds of it working on turn number 5 when it didn't work on 1, 2, 3, or 4 are very slim. So don't kill yourself on that.
For clarification, if it's on a NeoGov requisition, they need to make at least one attempt to process it before putting it directly into EC.
That would be my preference. Yes. Yes. Try to use NeoGov. It is the system we're supposed to use for postings and for hires. But if it doesn't, don't kill yourself. It's not worth the headaches. It's just not for you or for my staff and me. It's just not.
Okay, I have one more question to that.
Sure.
When it's been advertised, and so we're giving more than 15% to get to the starting salary, that additional above the 15% will not count toward their 10% salary?
If it were
Adjustment for the year.
if it was advertised, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We're not gonna, and get the rationale behind that is we're not gonna punish a state employee for getting a salary that you could have paid somebody off the street. Because a new person off the street would have been eligible for 10% down the road too. So we're not gonna punish the state employee with that.
Brian, I have another question.
Yes,
And it
ma'am.
may not be something that, it may be something I just don't understand. And if
Okay.
it is, I apologize.
We're learning.
If I post a job and someone in my agency applies for it, even if they're in a job class that is at the same range, starting salary,
Mhm.
can I pay them what I promoted, what I posted that job to?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So long, again, every one of my answers, I should preface this, I guess, every time we have one of these is, so long as it's equitable with their peers. But yes, if you posted a job and it's an equitable salary with the peers that are making that, then yes, you can pay a current employee what you posted it for.
And Ryan, just to follow up with that, if you do a lateral, I mean, you still have 15% available, right?
Yes.
Just confirming that to go along with what she asked.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan,
Yep.
I'm just want a clarification. You saying that we can hire straight through EC instead of going through NeoGov if we put direct number in the explanation. Is that right?
If you've attempted to hire through NeoGov and it did not work, then yes. We're going to give it at least one shot through NeoGov because that is the system of record for job postings and hires. But if it doesn't work, we're not going to kill ourselves trying to make it work.
And we said it does not work. Clarify what you mean does not work.
It doesn't come from NeoGov into Employee Central.
That's majority of the time when I'm in the hiring process.
Yeah, you and everybody else on this call could probably agree with that statement. Majority of the time it doesn't, but I would like y'all to make one attempt, and then if it doesn't, then I get it. I mean it's aggravating, but so don't kill yourself over it. But it is just please try. But if it doesn't work, don't kill yourself.
Okay, but I think in the past the analyst is making it mandatory that we go through NeoGov.
Yeah, we're softening, man. We're softening a lot. The systems are not talking as well as we would like for them to, and cooperating as well. So they have been. That was me, and we're going to slowly start to loosen some of this stuff up, just because it's not worth my headache or yours at this point. If it's a system issue, we're gonna try to use the system, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, we're gonna move on.
Okay, I just want to get clarification on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I normally do when I do hire in NeoGov, I print off the page, the rec page, and put it in with the application so they know I at least tried. And then
That would
in my
be-
comments, I put that it was approved in NeoGov just to not replicate over. So that way you guys know, it was done through NeoGov.
That's fantastic, Lorinda. That's fantastic. That'd be great.
This is Bonnie again. And yes, again, I probably have something that is not relevant to this conversation, but
Sure.
when we're trying to advertise through NeoGov and it's not letting us, how long should we be waiting to figure out what we need to do or how to fix it?
Yeah. And I know we just dealt with one of your jobs yesterday, who I know y'all been struggling for, I want to say 6 weeks to try to get the pin to replicate correctly in NeoGov. I don't have a good answer for that. I know that NeoGov requires us to have a position and it has to match for us to post it. I don't have a good answer for that, Bonnie. I wish I did. If it's a replication issue and it's right in Employee Central and it's right in SPARS and it's wrong in NeoGov, let me. I will reach out to MRS and see if we can't see if there's a way to expedite those, or if there's like a direct contact for someone to fix those.
I appreciate that because as you just said, we've had this one position we've been trying to do for 6 weeks.
Right, and it might have been longer. I've tried to look back at the history of y'all's conversation with them in that email, and it's been going on for far too long. Yeah, so
Right.
If there's and I'll get if we get a direct contact or something like that, I'll get Brittany to send that out from communications to everybody so that y'all all have
Thank you.
y'all all have it. Who to contact? All right. Anybody else? All right, well, I'm not going to belabor this on a Friday before a holiday week. So, really appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate the questions and the back and forth. It's nice when we have dialogue and it's not just me talking. Because I think, when you ask a question, there's a lot of people who have follow-ups and that kind of stuff. So don't ever hesitate to ask. That's why we do these things. You guys have a blessed Thanksgiving week if I don't talk to you. And we'll see y'all on December 2nd for in-range adjustments.